Good afternoon to you. Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here. Time for your off-season edition of the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion. It is Monday, the 18th day of January 2021. Trying some new things here as we get into the first part of the year. We have an intro, a custom-made intro, as well as an end screen that we're doing. Just trying some new stuff as we get further into the new year. Well, let's get on with the discussion for today. As you know, we start out generally with a look at what's going on in terms of the tropics, what we look for in the off-season. And a big part of that would be the temperature anomalies. And as we can see, the La Nina holding on strong here in the Pacific, and the Atlantic is clearly running above the long-term average. So we put a plus here, a minus here. That makes a lot of sense. Not much has changed. So we'll move on. Looking at the Southern Oscillation Index, the same is generally true here. Just a little bit of a downward tick in the 30-day average, whereas the 90-day continues that trend of a gradual rise. And this is very important because the Southern Oscillation Index, these raw numbers, tell us, especially when they are strongly positive, like what we're seeing here, that this La Nina and the pressure pattern and all the things related to that favors that La Nina holding on for the next several weeks and probably the next several months. And we can see that reflected as well in this recent tweet from Dr. Phil Klotzbach that NOAA currently predicts a low chance of El Nino, only 14%. When? For the peak of the 2021 hurricane season, which is right in here. So very low chance of El Nino, that's that red bar. And the La Nina kind of fading away as we get into the spring. And then it tries to make a little bit of a comeback there. Maybe cool, neutral conditions instead of your full-on La Nina. And that is a really, really big signal for an active hurricane season ahead, something that Dr. Klotzbach and others, Ben Knoll as an example, he'll be watching this very closely. A lot of people in the private sector, different meteorological companies and industries, the government, you name it, lots of researchers, us on this YouTube channel, right? We all watch this, as well as these other climate signals like the velocity potential anomaly. This tweet from Ben Knoll recently suggesting that we see another favorable period of upward motion developing into, this is June of 2021. I know it's behind the little graphic there, but this is, or the little arrow, whatever. It's June of 2021. That's what you need to know, with sinking motion generally favored for the Western Pacific. So probably another down year for Western Pacific typhoons. Doesn't mean there won't be any, but probably less than normal. And then this right here, this concentrated area spilling out into the Eastern Atlantic is very interesting. That maybe, just maybe, we start things off pretty busy with an active African wave train that comes across the Atlantic Basin, maybe threatening some of the islands, the Caribbean, right? On into portions of the Gulf of Mexico early on. These pieces of energy, they don't necessarily develop here, but they end up over here. It's kind of a repeat of what we saw in 2020 in terms of these very, very big puzzle pieces that we can clearly see in some of this long-range modeling. And that's what you need to understand about this. This isn't necessarily what's absolutely going to happen. We know that. But this is a pretty clear-cut signal. We saw this last year, these larger puzzle pieces, much easier to put together than 1,000 pieces of teeny tiny puzzle pieces. I think that analogy makes sense, and this is a good way to visualize that, a really neat map from Ben Knoll. Additionally, looking at the precipitation anomaly, this one is from the North American Multi-Model Ensemble, kind of an aggregate of all the different models, and it's showing us a solid area of anomalous precipitation, just a fancy way of saying above normal precip. Where, and this is important, when and where. That's what's so important about all of these different maps and outlooks that we're looking at. And the where in this situation is across the African Sahel, out into the main development region, and then just east of the islands, strong precipitation anomaly signal, maybe in the eastern Gulf, and then interestingly enough off of, and this goes out through August, so maybe a storm track up here in the northwest Atlantic, we shall see. But then you notice, not much of a strong signal in the typically favored areas of the western or the eastern Pacific here, certainly not much in the western Pacific. There will always be hurricanes in the East Pac, typhoons in the West Pac, but again, so far, it looks like the Atlantic Basin will be primed to potentially overachieve as we get into the 2021 season. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm telling you, last year, especially March and April, and we're almost there, it's not that far away, 6 weeks till March, less than that the models really start honing in on these larger puzzle pieces, and they're a lot easier for us to see, as I talked about. All right, so this is really cool. What is this? Well, that is a Raspberry Pi computer on the left, and on the right, that is a Kestrel Drop 3 or a D3 sensor that measures temperature, humidity, dew point, air pressure, among other things. And we have been using these guys right here a lot, especially last year. They were crowdfunded, gifted to our project. We have, I think, 26 of them now, and we put them out in hurricanes to give us all kinds of different data. And our what we call our quantitative guru, Brent, is able to compile all that into these beautiful PDF files, and we can see what the data was. We can visualize it. Well, I wanted a way that we could take those Kestrels and have them communicate. We know that there's an app from Kestrel on the iPhone that you talk to it, the Kestrel unit, and you download the data. And I thought, well, there's got to be a way that we can communicate with those Kestrels using a Raspberry Pi. So Brent and me and some others, or Brent and I, whatever, got in touch with Kestrel, and we got permission from Kestrel to get into their system, sort of reverse engineer it. You have to sign all these documents, etc. And we figured it out. Now we have a program that runs, that's it right there, on this Raspberry Pi computer. Our buddy Jason, good friend of mine up in Raleigh, Cary, North Carolina area. He works for the SAS Institute, Statistical Analysis Software Company. I mean, this guy, he's unbelievable. And he's figured it out. So now we have a way to take the Kestrel data, put one of those Kestrel units outside of our cam cases. You want to put them outside. You can kind of hook them onto something next to the camera box. And the bottom line is we are now going to have live data coming in from at least 20 different locations during the next big hurricane landfall event. We have 4 of these systems ready to go right now. In fact, here's the box of them. Can I prove it to you? There they are. There's all 4 of them right there. Pretty cool. I'm excited about it because we really like the data. So the idea is to pair all of these units. We have 26 of them in all. We have 4 of them ready to go as prototypes. Test them during some winter storms, hopefully sometime soon, and we'll get into that in the update here in a minute. And then have all of them ready to go by the hurricane season so that when we have a major hurricane, especially a significant big hurricane event, landfall, we'll have 20 live cameras, each of them with live data, all of that being posted to our new super hurricane tracking map that our supporter and good friend over in the UK has created for us, Will Woodgate. I'm telling you, bottom line, folks, we are going to have an absolutely incredible setup once it comes to the hurricane season, and I hope to do some testing of this over the next few weeks if we can get some winter storms. Some people don't like winter weather. They just assume it'd be sunny and 72 outside. That's fine. But for testing and just kind of the excitement, especially if they're not, crippling with 5 feet of snow or anything and frigid minus 30 wind chills, etc., winter storms are okay. Use common sense, you can get through them. And it helps us to test for the upcoming hurricane season. We use the off season. So what do we see? Well, not much going on out there. Not a lot of storminess today. Kind of a weak disturbance here off the coast of California. The big story out there is going to be the Santa Ana wind that's cranking up because of high pressure sitting up here over the Great Basin, pumping those winds clockwise, downsloping, warming up as they do so. Other than that, nothing really to talk about in terms of current weather. A little bit of high clouds over Florida, some northwest flow snow flurries and occasional snow squalls in the favorite areas coming off the lakes from what we call the northwest flow. That's a true phenomenon where it banks up against the Appalachians, and on that, it's called orographic lift, and on the other side, the windward side, you get some snow showers. So let's take a look at it in the modeling here over the next week or so. And again, this is today, and you notice just a few areas of, well, if I can highlight it where you can see it, there's my color. A few areas of snow here, weak storm system up in the Dakotas, and not a lot of pressure gradient going on out here at the time, but enough of these isobars packed close together with that high pressure out there that a Santa Ana event is likely for parts of Southern California and vicinity. Other than that, it's kind of calm. So let's move this ahead frame by frame. Here's 24 hours out, so this is Tuesday morning, and then Wednesday morning, another 24 hours out. Not much still, it's just kind of a calm pattern overall. Not frigid anywhere, no major storms. We go 3 days out, 72 hours there. This is Thursday morning, and then another 24 hours to Friday morning. A little bit of rain in the deep south there, Louisiana, Texas, but that's about it. Again, just no big-time news-making storm events coming up. There's day 5. That's cold. Big 1033 millibar high coming down out of Canada. There's another one up there. But we're just lacking that deep Arctic cross-polar flow that really locks us in to having, A, obviously the cold temperatures, and then B, any significant storms. Now, it's interesting at day 5, notice what's going on out west. A little bit of a low-pressure area is able to sneak in to California and maybe, just maybe, bringing some precip to Nevada, California, Arizona, Utah, maybe some heavy snow in the mountains, the north rim of the Grand Canyon, a beautiful area if you haven't seen that. I lived in Vegas for 3 years and went to high school at the same high school that Jimmy Kimmel did, in case you didn't know that, Clark High School, and we would go to the Grand Canyon. I didn't know Jimmy. He was a year ahead of me. He graduated I think he was about a year right after I got there or something. But we would all go out to the Grand Canyon from Clark High School, the hiking club, and it's gorgeous when it snows out there. That is for sure. So maybe some stormy weather for them, but nothing big time coming. And even that storm system, as we just kind of move this out, this is beyond a week, and it's really not advisable to look at models that far out. But you see, even going out into time, that famous day 6, 7, 8 time frame when you get some crazy stuff happening, yes, that's a significant storm, but it doesn't end up that way along the East Coast, at least not yet. So we'll see how that pans out. Bring me back up for a second. We have seen a lot of talk from, and if you follow these people on Twitter, I've seen Eric Webb talking about it, John Cassell, I think that's how you say his name, or John Cassell, Kassel. They've been tweeting about this pattern change a lot. Jack Sillen talking about it. But so far, no definitive signals for one of those epic, news-making, big-time East Coast blizzards, winter storm, coastal storm, whatever you want to call it, nor'easter. Not yet, but maybe this system towards the 25th, 26th, 27th time frame, that's far enough out. We're talking about more than a week. That's what we'll watch to see. And the key here, real quick, is to get this to slow down and be a little bit suppressed so that it doesn't just go on out to sea. We need some blocking out here over the Atlantic to kind of slow this down so that it can phase the energy from the northern part, the Arctic air, and all that temperature contrast with the southern stream. You phase those together with the cold air. Bingo, you have a big-time winter storm. So far, not in the cards just yet. Hey, check this out. I wanted to talk about something in Europe for a second. I've mentioned this before, that the UK Met Office, in, I guess, cooperation with, I got to research this more, other parts of Europe, the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting, or the ECM folks. I think that's Meteo France, or they're based in France. Anyhow, bottom line is the UK names winter storms. These, well, not just winter storms, but just big storms that come off the ocean, and they're doing so today. I saw this mentioned from Will Woodgate, one of our supporters over in the UK. Storm Christoph has been named, and we can look at that a little bit more detail here on their Twitter post. Let's rewind this. Breaking news from the Met Office. Over in the United Kingdom, Storm Christoph has been named. This is really neat the way they do this. It's non-hyped. It's just very informational. A nice animated infographic. Simulated clouds. There's the pressure patterns, the storm coming across, the time frame. There's Tuesday, and then on into Wednesday. It moves on into Ireland and across England and Scotland and Wales, and it's like, wow, that's a heck of a storm. So let's look at it real quick on the GFS here. This is the current time frame, just to give you your bearings. Here is the UK, right through here. There's Scotland up in the north part. All right, trying my best to outline it. There's Ireland over here. Here's Spain and Portugal, just to give you your bearings. There's France, the Netherlands, etc. Right? There's Norway up there, I do believe. All right, so let's move this out into time. You see the system slowly coming in from the left side, and this is 30 hours out. And then finally, it really starts to take shape. 979 millibar low just south of Ireland. And then it really starts to crank there. High wind, even some snow in there, especially in the northern areas in Edinburgh and points north of there into Scotland. No snow for London this time, but definitely windy on the backside of that. Look at that. It moves up into, what would that be, the North Sea? I should know that. And it really cranks up. 950 millibars. Holy cow. Norway is going to get smacked with that. Very heavy snow up there. And we're going out to about day 4, day 5. Stormy pattern over in the across the pond, as they say. Not so much in the United States. All right, well, that'll wrap it up for this edition of the off-season hurricane outlook and discussion. Again, trying some new stuff here. As a reminder, do subscribe, do like the channel, share the videos as you see fit, and check out our latest original series. It's called The Hurricane Highway. All 8 episodes are now available on YouTube. This is a major crowdfunded event, major project from our Patreon supporters. I appreciate all of them to help make this happen. It is available for your enjoyment, 100% ad-free on a YouTube playlist. It's called The Hurricane Highway Season 1. Check that out, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share the videos, all that good stuff. You know what to do if you're a YouTuber. Get the word out about what we're doing, and I will see you again next week. I am Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. We'll talk again next Monday.